Protect the flock, we rally in the lion's den. Shield to shield, the storm is thundering. Unleash the roar, let the lions run. Torch the night until the battle's won.
Hello, brothers and sisters, and welcome back to another edition of The Lion's Den. You know, we spend a lot of time fighting with management, trying to figure out how to defend our carriers' rights when it comes to the grievance process. But there's a place where we don't focus a lot of energy, and that's on our injured employees, on our injured brothers and sisters. So, what I'd like to do on this episode of The Lion's Den is talk about schedule awards. And I'm going to tell you right now, if you walk up and down the aisles of your workplace, your unit, your building right now, and you talk to your fellow city carriers, you're going to find that there are some carriers who have injuries from years back, and they still have some residual pain or residual impairment, and they have never pursued a schedule award. So I'm going to get into this, and I'm going to tell you exactly how to do this yourself. You don't need a lawyer. You don't need to contact anybody from the union. This is something that you can do sitting at home in front of your computer, and it's literally going to give you thousands of dollars in your bank account if you qualify. So follow along with me here. We're going to have a written copy of this that's going to go on from A to arbitration, and I'm also going to post it on a website for you that you can access as well. What is a schedule award? So a schedule award is a cash settlement, and it's intended to compensate an injured worker for the loss of a use of body organs or extremities. So the reason it's called a schedule award is because they have a schedule of how many weeks of time that each impairment body part qualifies for. It's a little complicated. They have a chart. It's nothing you have to worry about in this process for yourself. Now, a schedule award, a lot of people are nervous because they think if they file a schedule award, that's the end of their compensation for an injury from workers' comp. That is not true. Medical bills continue to get paid. You continue to be compensated for any injuries. Don't worry about that. This is strictly, basically an insurance policy paying you because you were injured on the job and permanently impaired. So here's a couple of important points about schedule awards. OWCP payments are not taxable. If you follow through with this process, and we just did this for a person at work, I did this about maybe a year or two ago. This person was injured about 30 years earlier. This was towards the end of his career. And he had an injury to his knee, and he had a permanent limp. He had some impairment that was residual and stayed with him. And he thought he was never going to be able to file for something like this. And we went through the process. It takes maybe a year for the whole thing to play out between the paperwork and the submitting of forms and calling to make sure people are on the ball. But he came up to me on the workroom floor, and he showed me his bank account, and he said, "Is this what I was waiting for?" And it was a deposit for $47,000 tax-free into his bank account. This is the kind of thing that you should be expecting if you were injured on the job and you've got a serious injury in the past and you still have some kind of impairment. These are not like $500 reimbursements. These are substantial. And there's so many carriers out there that are just not following up. We're going to take care of that because you listening today, if you have an impairment from years ago from an injury or you just recovered and you've reached maximum medical improvement, we're going to go over that definition. If you've had an injury and you've recovered to that extent, you're going to file a schedule award. And you're also going to talk to your brothers and sisters and get them to do it as well. We are not going to let our brothers and sisters walk around the workroom floor injured from working at the Postal Service and not be properly compensated, okay? So this is your mission, not just to take care of yourself, to go out there and spread the word. All right, another thing about schedule awards. Payments are made at a reduced rate of your pay grade at the highest of either the pay rate at the time of your injury, the pay rate on the date of your first disability, or the date of recurrence as long as it's more than 6 months after return to full duty. So the bottom line is it doesn't help you to wait any longer. You're not going to If your salary increases, it's not going to increase the amount of your impairment disbursement. So your best bet is to file this as soon as we get done this training, file this and invest that money if you want to invest that money, or buy something that's going to pay you dividends going forward. Now, schedule awards are tax-free, but there's a catch to that. They are paid at a percentage of your full rate of pay. So if you're single, they're paid at 66.66% of your rate of pay. If you're married or with dependents, it's paid at 75% of your rate of pay. Here's a very general rule of thumb. For every percentage of impairment rating that you are qualified for, it's about $2,500 cash disbursement. So if you're qualified for 40% impairment, you just do the math. 2,500 times 40, you're looking at $80,000, $90,000. So you got to remember these things, brothers and sisters. This is not chump change. This is money that you deserve for being injured at work. So here's a couple of exclusions on schedule awards. They are not payable. We always make this joke that supervisors don't qualify for schedule awards because the three things that aren't covered are the spine, the brain, and the heart. The three things that supervisors don't have: spines, brains, and hearts. But if you have a back injury, if you have a brain injury, or some kind of a heart impairment, those are not covered by schedule awards. They're not considered qualifying body parts. Now, keep in mind, and this has been, we've seen this a lot, if somebody does have a spine or back injury, sometimes that will cause residual injuries, like you'll have nerve damage to your arm or leg. Those are covered. So if you've gotten a back injury or something like that, don't write it off until you fully research and see a doctor. Another exclusion, you cannot currently be on wage loss compensation. That means that you would have to either be back to work or you would have to be retired. You can't be getting money from OWCP and not be working and still file a schedule award. You have to be back on the rolls, on duty. Also, disability retirement may exclude benefits unless it's for a different condition. So disability retirement takes into consideration your injury, and that's why you're getting a retirement benefit. So that would kind of write off or balance off any schedule award. So if you're looking at a disability retirement, schedule award might not be qualified for you. And the last part is the Department of Labor will hold a lien against any third-party claims. So that means, let's say you're walking up a set of stairs and the staircase breaks and you fall down the stairs and you get a schedule award for, let's say down the road, $80,000. If you have sued that homeowner for $80,000, your schedule award will be canceled out to zero. So any third-party claims, any legal settlements would cancel that out. So how do you qualify for a schedule award? What do you do? This training is going to be broken down into 7 steps, and it's going to be pretty straightforward. When you've done this, you're not going to have a worry in the world. You're going to be able to do this yourself. You're not going to need a lawyer, anything. Trust me, brothers and sisters. If I can do this, you can do this. How do you qualify? First, you have to have an accepted OWC approved injury for a qualifying body part. So at some point in your career, you've had to have filed a workers' comp claim and it has to have been accepted. It can be at any time in your career, any time in the past, 20, 30 years ago, like we just talked about. Doesn't matter how far back it is. If you were injured on the job and you filed a workers' compensation claim and it was accepted and you have a residual impairment, you qualify for a schedule award. Secondly, you must have reached maximum medical improvement, or MMI, and it has to be at least 1 year out from a date of injury or last surgery. So it has to be at least a year from when you were injured or when you received surgery for that injury and you reached your maximum medical improvement. Now, maximum medical improvement does not mean that your condition is not going to get worse. If your condition gets worse after you file the schedule award, you can file for a second or third schedule award to continue on down the line for your impairment. But you cannot get any better. That's what maximum medical improvement was. You're not going to improve. Your condition's at its best. It could still get worse. You should not wait. Don't wait until you're in a wheelchair to file for a schedule award. If you've reached maximum medical improvement, do it now. File for it now. And you must also have some resulting impairment as determined by an impairment rating examination. according to the sixth edition of the American Medical Association Guide, the AMA. So we're going to talk about impairment ratings or IR ratings too. That's something that we're going to have to look at when we file a schedule award. So again, an OWCP claim can be from any time in your work career. You do not need all of your medical records saved. We can get them retrieved. Don't worry about that. And you may have claims that you've forgotten. So we're going to show you how to research your OWCP files and to see if there's any claims out there you might have forgotten. You might have gotten bitten by a dog 20 years ago, and maybe your arm, your hand, or something is still feeling some residual numbness or nerve damage. All of those things, all of those things can qualify you for a schedule award. So an MMI, a maximum medical improvement rating, this is something that your own doctor can do. You don't need to go to a special doctor for this. You can go to any doctor who's treated your condition and say, "Listen, I'm going to be pursuing a schedule award through the Workers' Compensation Department. I just need some kind of an examination saying that I reached maximum medical improvement." Any doctor who's treated you should be able to do that for you. Impairment ratings are a different thing. So only certain physicians can properly rate an OWCP impairment. And this is one of the things that you're going to have to shop around for. One of the things, we'll get into that, but this is one of the few things you're going to have to do a little legwork on to get this claim approved. All right, so let's get right into the two medical. So the sixth edition of the AMA guide, I did say that we need to use the sixth edition, and you have to be specific when you're going to call around and ask for these impairment rating doctors that they're qualified to examine you according to the sixth edition of the AMA guide. So this guide is an upgrade over the fifth. It's still relatively old in the grand scheme of things, but what it has done, this sixth edition, there's two methods that you can evaluate an impairment: diagnosis-based impairment and range of motion-based impairment. The sixth edition medical guide will allow you to get the higher of the two. It'll give you the higher rating of the two. So that's one of the good things. And there's another part of this that's also an improvement is if you have an injury resulting from an OWCP accepted condition, as well as a non-industrial permanent impairment in the same scheduled part or member of your body, it can also be rated for an award. So let's say you have arthritis in your hand, but you were also bitten by a dog in that same hand. They're not going to write off that claim because you have arthritis. They're still going to pursue that claim according to the sixth edition medical guide and get you a scheduled award certification. So let's get into these 7 steps that I talked to you about. Step number 1, you need to register an account in eComp. You can just Google ecomp.dol.gov. There's a link on the right side. It's gonna ask you for a job code of what your current occupation is. You're gonna look at job code 2310, postal delivery and collection. That's one of the things that might be a little tricky to look for if you don't go right to that, because there's a couple of delivery codes, there's CCA codes. You just want 2310 postal delivery and collection. And when you get to the part about a supervisor's email, if you don't know your supervisor's email, just input supervisor@usps.gov. Let them figure it out. That's not a big deal. Once you've registered through the whole process of becoming an eComp member, you can download and look at all of the claims you filed over your career. Now, if you want to access or submit information, there's going to be a tab on the side that says access case and upload document. That's going to become important in a few minutes here. Whenever anything is submitted, put your claim number on every single page. We're going to tell you how to fill this out, but you want your claim number on the top of every single page. You're going to find that claim number when you open each individual injury file. And you're going to want to document, there's something called a document control number, a DCN number. Whenever you submit paperwork through this portal, you're going to get a DCN number. This number is going to show up, and the minute you click on the next screen, it's gone, and you can't get it back. So when you see your document control number, stop, write it down, put it in your records, and save it. That way you can access this document later that you've already submitted. Okay, so now you're registered on eComp, right? Let's go to step 2. If you found one of your claims is something that you feel that you still have some kind of an impairment from, some kind of a scheduled impairment from, you need to request an entire case file in electronic format. And this is what you're going to do. I'm going to read this off of the training that I'm going to put online and Corey's going to put on from A to Arbitration. You're just going to write, you type up a letter. Hello, my name is John Smith. I'm requesting a copy of my entire case file in electronic format for OWCP claim number XYZ to be sent to my home address as follows. And then you're going to put your name, your address. At the bottom, you're going to write thank you, and you're going to sign it. You must have your signature on any of these forms that you're submitting. And you're going to put what? You're going to put your claim number on there, right? That's step 2. That's it. You're going to request an entire copy of your electronic case file. Step 3, you are going to have some claims that are probably very old, and they probably closed any activity on these OWCP claims because you haven't filed for anything in a long time. You need to reopen these claims, but you're going to reopen them strictly for the purposes of a schedule award claim. So what you're going to do is, and this is another page that's going to be in this training, this letter is going to be typed up, but it's going to say, hello, my name is John Smith again. I am requesting that OWCP claim number XYZ be reopened for the sole purpose of the filing for a schedule award. Same thing, John Smith, this is my address, thank you, and you are going to sign it. And you are going to put your claim number on that form. And again, as soon as you submit this, when you see that document control number, that DCN number, you're going to write that down. That's step 3. You're almost halfway there, right? How bad is this? Step 4, you need to make an appointment with your doctor who's familiar with your condition, or a new doctor, however you want to do it. And all you need from that doctor is that you have reached maximum medical improvement. Now, you're going to have to wait until you get this electronic case file, unless you have very good medical records of your own. But I found once you get this, it'll either be a flash drive or a file they'll send you through email, or they'll send you a CD or something like that. Once you have this, just call your doctor, say, I've got an electronic copy of my case file. I'd like to review it with you to see if I've reached maximum medical improvement. That's it. Once you've gotten that from your doctor, you're on step 5. Step 5 is the hunting and searching for a physician who can perform an impairment rating for you. This is going to take a little bit of work. This is actually, we're going to talk later about what a lawyer could and couldn't do for you and how much money they're going to take from you. But this is one of the few things they can do for you. And it's not worth what you would pay a lawyer to do this. This is easy enough to do. All you have to do is go online, Google impairment rating physicians in my area. It doesn't have to be, I mean, you might drive to another state if you have a good doctor in mind who's done a lot of these cases. But a good place to look is sports medicine physicians. A lot of them deal with impairment ratings from sports injuries. All you need to do is call these physicians, get yourself a list, and ask them if they are familiar with impairment ratings according to the 6th edition of the AMA guide. Now, once you got 1 or 2 of those, schedule your appointment. Some physicians are going to allow you to bill this directly to OWCP, but most are going to require an insurance payment. That's okay. You can file this with your insurance company, but you can seek reimbursement from OWCP. And the way you do that is you Google OWCP Form 915, which is for medical expenses. That's going to reimburse medical expenses. And OWCP Form 957, which is reimbursement for mileage to go to medical visits. So you're going to get all of this covered, your actual mileage and your actual expense for your doctor's appointments. And you're going to submit this the same way we just submitted these previous letters. You're going to submit it under your case file, under uploading documents, and again, get that DCN number, okay? This is probably the worst part of the whole process, brothers and sisters, is finding an impairment rating doctor. And you're going to make a lot of phone calls. I'm not going to, soften this up for you. You're going to be on the phone for a little while, but big deal. Big deal. You're going to make a couple of phone calls and you're going to make what, $20, $30, $40,000. It's not a big deal. Pick up the phone, do a little work for it, okay? Step number 6. This is when you're going to actually make the submission of the actual um, schedule award claim. So you're going to fill out Form CA7, and you can download this online as well, and check box 2D. 2D is for a schedule award claim. You're going to be able to bypass a lot of that form. It's going to tell you to move right along if that's for a schedule award. And you need to fill out something else. It's going to have to be filled out from your bank as well, which is Form SF, as in Frank, 1199A, direct deposit sign up. So, what you need to do is you need to dedicate a bank account that's going to be strictly for the deposit of an OWCP schedule award payment. So just you go to your bank, you bring this form there. There's a space at the bottom for the bank to fill out, and you're going to sign up. You're going to have a bank account number on there. Both of these forms, okay, you can print out online, fill them out, and you're going to submit these to your employing agency if you're still employed. So once you fill out the 1199A and the CA7, submit this to your employer and say, I need these submitted for a schedule award claim. They should send these to the Department of Labor. If you've retired, you can send an explanation cover letter to the Department of Labor and forward the paperwork directly to them through eComp. To be honest with you, even if you submit this to your supervisor, which you should do because they need to actually um, fill out the Form CA7 part of it for their purposes and for approval, I would still send a copy on eComp and put a cover letter saying, you know, official postal copy has been sent and they will forward to you as well, just so that there's two copies out there and nobody loses anything. All right, step 7. This is the last step, right? Once the CA7 and the impairment rating are submitted, call your claims examiner every 2 weeks. You're going to be assigned a claims examiner. Call them every 2 weeks and politely check on the progress of your claim. All you're going to do is say, you know, hey, Mr. Claims Examiner, this is John Smith. I submitted a schedule award claim, 2 or 3 weeks ago, or 2 or 3 months ago, if you keep going through the process. And I'm just wondering if there's anything else you need from me to assist you in processing this claim. That's all you do. And this is the other part that your lawyer would take care of for their big chunk of change that they'd walk away with. They're going to make these phone calls for you. They're going to have a secretary make these phone calls for you. Honestly, if you can't make a phone call every 2 or 3 weeks, I mean, come on, come on. You're just going to call your claims examiner, be polite. You're not going to be short-tempered. Hey, I'm just here to help you. What can I do to help move this along? Do you need something else from me? Eventually, once your claim moves to the top of the pile because you've been polite so many times, they're sick of hearing from you. A district medical advisor, DMA, will evaluate the claim and make a decision. Now, we have the same OWCP appeal rights for any decision of schedule awards. We have the right to an oral hearing. We have the right to submit additional documentation. We have the right to, there's like four claims or four appeal rights that we can use if we're going to appeal any decision. This, if you get to this point and you need to appeal a decision by the Department of Labor, this is where you can contact your business agent's office. I mean, up to this point, you really don't need to. I mean, this is pretty straightforward. But if there's an appeal going on, you do want to reach out for assistance. Let's talk about what a lawyer would do for you. Okay. What would a lawyer do that you can't do? Well, they probably have an impairment rating doctor on staff. So they're going to pay to have you go to an impairment doctor. You don't have to make those phone calls, big deal. You're going to go to an impairment doctor of their choosing, and it's going to look like it's not costing you anything because they're just going to take it out of your settlement at the end. So you don't have to put any out-of-pocket expenses at the front end of it, that $200-300 or maybe whatever it is. But your insurance company is going to cover some of it anyways. But the lawyer would take care of that just to take it from you later. They are also going to fill out your Form CA7 and your Form 1199A. So they're going to Google these documents or pull them out of their folders, and they're going to fill them out and ask you to sign them. You can fill this out. I'm telling you, if you pull these up right now, you're probably filling out 5 or 6 lines on each form. It's not worth it. They also are going to have their secretary, like I said, call a claims examiner every 2 weeks after the submission of a CA7, and they're going to say, hey, I'm calling on behalf of John Smith. We're just wondering if our office can do anything to assist you in completing or processing this claim. This is the same thing you're going to do. You're going to call and do the same thing. So you could pay a lawyer to do this if you're afraid to make a phone call every 2 or 3 weeks, or you could keep your money. Because right now I'm telling you that a lawyer is going to take 1/3 of your money. Plus, they're going to take off the top of that any of the expenses for the impairment rating doctor or any other expenses that they can get, any phone calls that they're going to make. So you're looking, if you're going to make a $50,000, or let's say a $60,000 impairment rating settlement or schedule award settlement, this lawyer is going to take $20,000 from you just to have you go to their doctor, just to fill out 2 forms for you, and to make a couple of phone calls for you. Brothers and sisters, this is something you can do. You don't need a lawyer for this. You don't even need to contact your business agent's office for this unless you actually get to the appeal process and they deny your claim. Okay, so at the end of the road, what's going to happen is once your claim is approved, OWCP will decide whether it's in your best interest to get a lump sum or installment payments. Almost always you're going to get a lump sum deposited into your separate bank account that you set up. The only time you're going to get installment payments is if you're living month to month and you need living expenses, and they've determined that you can't survive without a monthly income. But if you've retired, if you're currently working, you're going to get a lump sum in your bank account. Now, I want you to remember this. There is no time in your career that is too late to file a schedule award. If you've retired, if you've if you haven't, if it happened 40 years ago, 30 years ago, your injury happened a long time ago, it doesn't matter. Take these same steps. File for a schedule award. Get the money that's owed to you, brothers and sisters. There's no reason not to do this. I'm going to tell you right now, any office I walk into, any office, I could probably, I bet you 6 out of 10 carriers, maybe 5, 6 out of 10 carriers have an injury that they've encountered on the job. They have some kind of impairment and they haven't even done this. They haven't even gotten the money that they're owed. The one thing I want you to do is to walk away from this Lion's Den episode and say, I know what a schedule award is. I'm not going to let the government keep my money for my injury. I'm going to go out there and do it. And I'm going to educate. I'm going to take this episode. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to teach my brothers and sisters. If I know somebody who was bitten by a dog, if I know somebody who had shoulder surgery or leg surgery or was injured on the job and they haven't done this, I'm going to teach them. I'm going to teach them what I just learned. So, brothers and sisters, I'm not even sure how long this episode lasted. I think it was probably a little shorter than we usually do. But I really, really, really want you to pursue this. Do not let the government keep your money. We actually had a carrier a couple of years ago who was, and this is really sad, he was diagnosed with terminal cancer. And we told him, listen, I know you had a claim. I know this is the last thing on your mind, but your family could get this 60 or 70 or $80,000 from this claim. All you need to do is initiate it. As long as you initiate a schedule award, as long as you fill out the paperwork and send it to them, even if you've passed away since then, the claim will continue and the money will go to your family. So it is never too late to do this, brothers and sisters. Unfortunately, our brother in this case had too many things going on. I mean, with his condition, and he wasn't able to pursue it. It's a sad story, but I want to share it with you because I think that we can't let that happen. You know, we can't let our brothers and sisters go through life with this money that the government is holding for them, and for them to walk through their lives and to go through all these financial troubles when that money is just sitting there in a government bank account. Go get it. File a schedule award if you qualify. Teach your brothers and sisters. Go out there. Let's do this, okay? Don't just talk about it. Start the process now. So once again, we're going to get this training up on From A to Arbitration. I'm also going to put it on, we have a website that we're working on, grievancemd.com. If you look under the toy box section, that's Tools for Stewards. I'm going to have this training up there. It's going to be called Schedule Award Training. If you pull that up, it's going to have these steps for you. Please, brothers and sisters, please. I mean, I've done this training in many offices, and it's sad to see that a lot of people will sit there and say, yes, I qualify, but I'm just too lazy to do it. Don't be that person. Go out there, get that schedule award for yourself. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. And again, don't just sit on this. Share this with your brothers and sisters. Let's go out there and let's teach. All right. All right, brothers. It's been great talking to you, and I'll talk to you again soon on the Lion's Den. Take care.